What's going on, guys? It is a beautifully cold night here in January. Just wanted to come live because I told you I would. So if you're seeing the replay for this, do me a favor, hit hashtag replay. If this is have been migrated over to YouTube, hit me in the comments that you're watching this. Let me know. I do interact with all those. But here's the thing. So I wanted to tell you some stories and give you some great tips on when you're interacting out there in the blogosphere and on YouTube, social media, and somebody you say something really good, and somebody comes in and they hit you up with like a side hook. You know, like somebody comes in and they're like jabbing you and things like that, and you're like, man, what do I do with that comment? And I'm sure everybody has run into it. If you've not run into it, you will run into it when somebody kind of left hooks you, and then they're not there to try to negotiate some sort of agreement. They're not there to help each other learn. They're there to make other people see that they have something to say and they want other people to notice them, okay? So let me give you an example. I got about a dozen or so, but I'll give you one or two really good examples. So I made a series of posts. One of the posts the other day is I invited people to the group. Maybe you saw the post, maybe you didn't. And on the post I said, hey, are you interested in being part of a group that deals with building relationships professionally, personally? If that's you, hit me up in the comments because we want to blow your life up and help you find fulfillment, all that. And then somebody wrote on there and said, there is somebody in the group now who's like, man, I'm so excited about this. And they're in the group, we invited them. And there was other person said, well, I have to get a girlfriend, boyfriend, and then I'll be able to do it. And I told them, I said, I came in and I was like, I don't agree with that. You can always invest in your relationships so when you do find somebody, then, you can be with somebody and you'll have some tips and some tricks and stuff. And they were negative, but they weren't negative in a nasty way. They were negative in, they were more feeling bad because they're broken or they can't find anybody. Then I had this other little comment, which was nasty and negative, and this person said, well, you just need a dog. You don't need a person. And I went about and I was like, man, that's not right. And so I kind of just said, you know what? I unfriended that person. You know why I unfriended that person? Because there have been several posts where he has attacked people on the post. No, I don't have time for that. Secondly, here's another example. So I'm in this one group and somebody's asking me to niche down. So I started sharing my niche, and my niche is helping people build strategic relationships. Whether you're a leader or entrepreneur, I want to help you develop as individuals. I want to help you personally and professionally build tips and tools for your relationships so that you can be the best version of yourself, that you can make the most money because you're interacting and you're learning how to live a fulfilled life. And I started sharing that way. I have three dynamics, relationship to self, relationship to others, and relationship to your world. Relationship to self is personal development. Relationship to others is corporate or intimate relationships. Relationships to your world is leadership. So I said that. And one person came up and they were like, well, I'm also a relationship coach and I don't see this as different. I don't think your thing is good. It's all about mindset. I said, okay. And so and in the next post I said, I value your opinion, but what about this? And I began to ask questions. And I said this, I said, I have to first disagree with your sentiment because everything is not a mindset thing, although mindset plays a huge amount of issues in life, and you do need a mindset. But then I said this, I would love to talk this at length, but what about this? And I gave a perfect example where it's not mindset, it was personality conflict, and if you get around personality conflict, you can move forward. And I said, and then I said, I would love to talk to you about this in length, or at least a little bit more so we can come to an understanding. The next post I got was, I just don't have time right now, we'll get back to it, which was a really nice way of saying, I don't want to talk about this, I have nothing to say, and goodbye. And so I started thinking about this, and this is where this was birthed out of. And I've got hundreds of other, dozens of other, conversations like that. People I've had to block because I will not stand for anything that's racial, sexual, or any of that stuff. I will not stand for certain things. I mean, there was one person, here's one more example. There was one person that every time I made a post, they had something they wanted to argue with. Okay? Well, if you're going to argue on my post or you want to make an argument, I'm going to politely make an argument back. And so I did that, and they sent me a private message, and they were like, every time I post, I'm afraid to post on your thing because you're always on. You always have something to say. Well, it is my post, and if you're going to disagree with me, then I'm going to explain my position. If you can't handle that, I'm sorry. And I wound up having to block that individual. Okay, so let's give you some practical things on what do you do when this stuff happens. What do you do? And see, just for you guys, I got my little note. It's pink today. Yay. It's super pink. But here's the deal. You, number one, okay? You've got to be the authentic you today, okay? You've got to be the authentic you. There's this thing going around that people are like, man, I'm going to be more blunt. I'm going to be more blunt. Trish Leto put something up about that. Some people were telling her she was going to put that they were going to be more blunt, not Trish, but those people were going to be more blunt. And I started thinking about that. Listen, if you don't have a blunt lifestyle, don't try to be blunt because it's going to come across as mean. If you're somebody whose personality is a little blunt, then be blunt because that's who you are and how people have known you to be. I'm a guy who, I'm just a matter-of-fact kind of guy. I'm going to share things, and it's going to be a matter-of-fact kind of way. It's not meant to hurt people. It's just, here's the truth. You can take it or leave it. That's who I am. I don't change that. So when you're interacting with these guys, when you're interacting on your post, be the authentic you. Learn to ask questions. Learn to be you, and don't be afraid to confront. I was listening to something by Ben Perry, the organic pirate guy. He's brilliant at this organic reach, and he had mentioned something yesterday that really blew my mind because I'm very, very if you're going to disagree with me, I give options and rooms to disagree with me. If I'm wrong, I admit it. But here's the thing: if I'm going to engage with you in the conversation, that means I'm trying to learn, but I'm going to share my point of view, right? So I was doing that, and I would be very pointed. Here's what I think. And I'm sitting here thinking people are going to defriend me, people are going to hate me, because I'm being way too, matter of fact, and I'm just sharing my thoughts. And Ben posted something about this the other day. He said people actually love you for being you, especially when you're saying things that they wish they could say. And I'm sitting there like, what? That was so awesome because here's this. It gave me freedom to say, and I'm not going to be mean. I'm very diplomatic in how I say it. I'm not going to be a jerk, so don't be a jerk to people. But here's the thing, is you want to be the authentic you, and I am an authentic guy, and I'm very genuine in this, so I'm going to give you my thoughts. They're going to be unadulterated. They're going to be very raw at times, but they're going to be done out of love. And that gave me permission to say, man, I can do this because there's many of you who are watching who don't have that about yourself and wish you could say something, but you're too afraid to say something. And it actually causes people to love you more. I was blown away when Ben said that. So that got me thinking further. So the first thing, and I'm going back to this, is be the authentic you, okay? Be the you that you were created to be. The second thing, when you're dealing with these people through the social media space, the second thing is learn to confront in a healthy manner, okay? And I've got to say this, and we're going to take a pause and step back because many people confront out of emotion, out of anger, and out of offense, and not out of the iron sharpens iron, not out of trying to win each other over or trying to learn. They argue or they're emotional because they want to be right, not search what is right. Now that's a big problem because if you're just going to try to be right, then you've already digressed any relationship that could possibly come from that. I have been able to, over the years, change my biggest critics into my biggest fans because of how I engage them. So you've got to be authentic. The second thing is you've got to really confront people when you're supposed to confront them. Okay? And confront them in a loving way because you don't want people to feel stupid. You don't want people to feel less than. You want to acknowledge their brilliance because most people have their own brilliance. But yet in the same respect, you want to say, here's what it is, and you can be any way that you need to be in that. Here's what it is. Help me understand from your point of view. Okay, so if you're authentic and you're the authentic you and you're having fun with it and you're learning and you're able to sit there and say and confront it, man, you will blow up in relationships. You'll gain more relationships. You'll gain the ability to navigate through each and every one of them. And here's the other thing. Here's number 3. Give people an out. Give people an out. When I said that to that guy when we were on that post, it was a very public. It's about 3 to 4, I think about 1,500, 2,000 people in that group may have seen this post. I don't know. But when I said that, I said, look, here's why I disagree with you. Here's my point of view. Can we talk about it at some point? I gave the person an out because I knew the moment I showed my hand, the moment I showed my thoughts in this, that there was going to be a pushback or there was going to be a run from. One of those two things were going to happen because the way they came across in the first comment that they made. And because of that, they were commenting, and here's what you need to understand. When people comment in negative ways on your post, it's because they're broken, they're angry, they have their own insecurities, or they're trying to get their name out, and they're going to ruin other people's name in order to do it. And there's other reasons, but those are usually the common ones. I always fall in the lines that people are just trying to get their name out, but they're broken people, and they're very insecure at times. So when this post came on, I didn't get offended. I'm like, okay, great, we disagree, but that's okay. We can agree to disagree. But here's the deal. When I said, okay, here is what it is, I put this little tagline, but I would love to further this conversation. What say you? Or however you want to word that. And the person said, you know what? I'm too busy. They could have told me no, and I've been like, that's fine. But they took the diplomatic to save face. They said, I'm a little too busy. Maybe we can come back to it. That's jargon for, I don't know what to say. I don't really want to talk about this. I made the comment. It's over. Let's just move on with our lives and allow them to do that. So that's another practical tip. Allow people to walk away and give them the out. There's two tips for you. Give them the out and allow them to walk away. Don't hunt them down to try to prove you're right. Remember, it's all about relationships, because later down the road, I hope to either have that conversation or have other conversations that's going to lead to something beautiful come out of it, because you never know. Now, if somebody's a troll, if somebody is just angry, if somebody is just going to be on your post just to be on your post and trash you, man, they have these two little buttons that are wonderful. Block and unfriend. Don't be afraid to use them. Don't be afraid to hurt people's feelings, because this is not middle school. If you're building a business, if you're building a life, you don't have to let people troll your life. I mean, I like them when they troll my life. Go ahead, because that means they're getting influenced by me. They're getting influenced by my material, and eventually they'll either comment negative, positive, and then we can engage. But here's the deal. If you don't want that in your life, block. And on my block list is ever growing. Why? Because I have no time for ignorance in my life. I have no time for people who are not going to really try to work hard to come to an understanding. I don't have to agree with you to like you, and that's okay. That's another practical step in this, and a practical point. You don't give people room to disagree with you. Be okay with that, because that's huge in that, because if I give you space to disagree with me, then guess what? Then that space allows us to grow together. And I want you to disagree with me if you truly disagree with me. Don't just disagree with me and I say like the sky is, blue, and you're like, no, it's really green. No, that's just disagreeing to disagree. But here's the deal. If I do say something and you don't agree, I give you room and space to disagree with me. But be ready, because I'm going to come back with my own thoughts and opinions so that I can hear your thoughts and opinions, so that we can build that iron sharpens iron, so that I can learn and grow. And we may never agree on that subject, but we can learn and grow from that subject. You see what I'm saying? Because I know that many of you in here are going to teach me lots of things, and I'm excited about that. Let people disagree with you. Agree to disagree. I can still be friends. I can still coach you. I can still love you. And I don't have to agree with everything, because I'm going to find the one thing or two things that we do agree on, and we're going to hit it up. And then when we hit the things that we don't agree with, we don't avoid those things, but we learn to talk them out, because I give you that space. And that's kind of where you go with this. And that's true in any social media. That's absolutely true inside of life. Like if you brought this into your household with your wife, your husband, if you brought this into your business with your boss, with your constituents, with your the people you're trying to sell to, your customers, your clients. These principles work in every single arena. Why? Because they're universally true principles that will build your relationship extremely quickly. So learn those things. Be the authentic you. Learn to allow for disagreement, allow people that out, let them go if they need to go, give them room, give them space, let them walk away. Okay, you make sure if you need to hit those buttons, the unfriend button, hit the block button if you need to, but don't just run from people because you're afraid of conflict. And that's the other thing. Be ready to engage in conflict, because people will love it when you stand up for what you believe in. They love it. And people will start to have the courage to do the same. And that's where I want to leave it today. I'm just going to look at my handy dandy little note right here and make sure that I gave you everything. And look right there. I actually, I did say it, but I want to actually say it the way I wrote it, because here's the deal. When you go into relationships, don't lead by offense, because once you lead by offense and emotion, guess what? Everything's downhill from there. Okay, so here's my last thought as we end this particular thought process, this training, this how to give you the most value when you're traveling through the social media land, and when you're sitting there and you're trying to engage with people. Here's the last thought. Don't go into it as you're going into battle. This is not a battle. This is social media. Look, social meaning have to get along with each other, or we can stay away from each other, but there's a social aspect. It's not a battle. I don't come on looking to battle people. I come on looking to understand. I come on looking to engage. Now, I will add different perspective. I will add different thoughts. I will add different value than the people may have already added. I will sometimes chime in my own opinions and how they may be different. I will disagree with people respectfully, but that's okay, because I'm being me. I don't know how to be any other way. But it's not a battle. If somebody wants to fight with me because I've offended them, I don't even let them. Hey, look, sorry I offended you. End of story. If you don't want to accept the apology, that's on you. But I'm not going to be held hostage by people who won't forgive me. But that's the deal. It's not a battle. It's life. It's a journey. Learn to walk the journey, live the journey, and thrive in the relationships that you're building.